I think bioengineering is when you use machines for medical purposes. Traditional or alternative would be when you use herbs, massages, acupuncture, and stuff to fix the problem that you have. Yes, because it's bioengineering is actually used, like it's proven to work, while alternative is not.
Bioengineering is a biological or medical application of engineering principles or engineering equipment. This is also known as biomedical engineering. A bioengineer's job involves designing systems and products in order to improve a human's quality of life. Traditional medicine, which is also called alternative medicine, has existed in many forms over every time period. This type of medicine is not evidence-based, meaning that there is no scientific proof of the medicine's effectiveness and is not considered curative. Within the past century, traditional medicine has slowly evolved into bioengineering. In the 1900s to the 1910s, doctors were barely beginning to practice more forms of medicine. This slowly transitioned into the 1920s creation of the first medical insurance company, known as the Blue Cross. However, the 1930s were met with rising healthcare costs. Continuing, World War II era brought about prepaid programs known as Health Maintenance Organizations, or HMOs, which still exist today. The transition between the 1940s and 1950s included the implementation of bioengineering equipment such as medical diagnostic techniques, X-rays, life-saving drugs, and inoculations. The 1960s brought about Medicare, again still currently in place today. In the 1990s, doctor fee services began to disappear as more preventative healthcare was practiced and added information from the internet and web pages became available to the public. The real bioengineering transition occurred in the early 21st century as new practices such as gene therapy and artificial organs were created. Unlike traditional medicine, bioengineering serves as a curative process by the implementation of medical equipment. These equipment and devices can be used to fix broken bones, create skin grafts, and implement instruments in order to see inside a human's body without cutting them open. Conversely, alternative medicine only mitigates the problem for a short time without providing a permanent cure. Although bioengineering does not use natural remedies like alternative medicine, some of the materials used are biodegradable. Such materials include polylactic acid and poly-L-lactic acid, which can be used to make grafts as well as 3D printed prosthetics. These biodegradable bioengineering materials can be decomposed into their basic elements with the use of microorganisms. Thus, they are advantageous to the environment since the degradation does not produce any pollution. Relating to actual medical implementation, bioengineered materials can be used to increase the longevity and quality of a person's life. For example, the biodegradable materials can be used for tissue engineering to increase tissue volume of patients as well as administering self-adhesion sutures. As bioengineering advances, mortality rates from diseases are decreasing yearly. This graph shows the total number of deaths between 1935 to 2010. As you can see, the total number of deaths has increased by 1.1 million. However, the risk of dying has decreased by 60% in this time period. This is due to the age adjustment. Since people were beginning to live longer with the start of bioengineering, death due to old age influenced the death rates more than diseases. For every age except 85 plus, mortality rates fell by 50%. Alternative medicine practices are used instead of standard medical treatments. It includes dietary supplements, megadose vitamins, herbal preparations, special teas, massage therapy, magnet therapy, and spiritual healing. Much of what is now categorized as alternative medicine was developed as independent complete medical systems and long before biomedicine and use of scientific methods. This mostly happened in relatively isolated regions of the world, where there was little to no medical contact with pre-scientific Western medicine. Nowadays, the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine reported that about 38% of U.S. adults and about 12% of children are using some form of alternative medicine. The practice of biomedical engineering has a long history. One of the earliest examples is a wood and leather prosthetic toe found on a 3,000-year-old Egyptian mummy. Before that, even simple crutches and walking sticks were a form of engineered assistive devices, and the first person to create a splint for a broken bone could be considered an early biomedical engineer. This era has evolved over the years in response to advancements in science and technology. Throughout history, humans have made increasingly more effective devices to diagnose and treat diseases and to alleviate, rehabilitate, or compensate for disabilities or injuries. One example is the evolution of hearing aids to mitigate hearing loss through sound amplification. As we know, bioengineering serves as a curative process by the implementation of medical equipment. Such equipment has been evolving in order to be biodegradable. An example could be the biodegradable implant. Once implanted, it should maintain its mechanical properties until it is no longer needed, and then be absorbed and excreted by the body, leaving no trace. Biodegradable implants are designed to overcome the disadvantages of permanent metal-based devices. Bioengineering is very safe since everything is originated from evidence gathered using the scientific method. On the other hand, alternative medicine has limited scientific research, confusing marketing, and potentially dangerous interactions like side effects. Due to a longer life expectancy, inclusion of medical coverage, and transition into biodegradable products, bioengineering establishes itself to be far superior to alternative medicine.
I never thought I'll be sitting here today after a face transplant.